In today's video, we buy the cheapest Jaguar XKR in the UK and it all goes horribly wrong. I love a Jag. If you cut me open, I bleed Jag. They're my favourite car brand by a country mile. And after Richard bought his XJR back, it got me thinking, could we add a bit of competition into the fold? His car was a bit too nice. There wasn't much that needed done. So, could we buy an absolute snotter of a Jag that was similar to Richard's and do it up, make it as nice, if not better than his, for less money? Well, we've not just thought about it, we've already done it. Welcome to the new Project Jaaaag. Richard's car was £9,995. We've bought this for £4 grand. Now, normally XKRs are slightly more expensive than XJRs, so this is seriously cheap. But let me explain why it's that cheap. First thing, it's straight up missing some body parts like this, this, and this. But look, you can see my V8. Aww. The interior is completely buggered. The steering wheel gives you splinters and is on the wrong side of the car. And the kicker is that it doesn't even remotely want to start. Nothing. So, I hear you asking, why have we bought a V8 supercharged Jag that doesn't even start? Well, this car has come from Japan, and you all know what that means. No salt on the roads, which means this is a 20-year-old Jag without any rust.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Another reason we've bought this Jag is that it's virtually an identical spec to Richard's. It's black, it's got the 4-litre supercharged V8, it's got the same gearbox. The main difference is the interior. We've got this nice dark leather instead of Richard's cream. The car has sat in this area for a couple of years, but I think just given a bit of a wash, this will come up really nice and we can crack on with upgrading parts on this car instead of spending so much time on fabrication. But before any of that, let's get it started. We've bought the car from the place where it has sat for the last 2 years, Swallows Racing, who are a Jaguar specialist in the southwest of England. The boss here, Tom Robinson, races Jags almost every weekend and therefore knows these supercharged V8s inside out. Boss man Tom, tell us the story of this car. How did you come about it?
So we import cars from Japan. It's a bit unusual with it being left-hand drive, so we're always after anything left-hand drive because it generally goes back out to Europe. Being an early car from Japan, they're generally rust-free. So we bought it was about 2 years ago, it was before lockdown. It sort of fell to the back of the list, to be honest, and didn't come up with the other cars. The other batch of cars were, they needed less work to get them ready, so they went out first, and this one has unfortunately just sat there and not done anything since.
So this has sat in the yard for how long? Couple of years?
It's a couple of years, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you reckon is going to get this started? What is wrong with it just
So
now?
the couple of common things on these. So first on the list is fuel pumps. They're really common for failing. So it obviously doesn't start at all now. So it's either that or it's potentially flooded where it's been shunted around the yard. Like I said, we haven't tried for 2 years. So we'll have to do some basic checks first, but that's what I place my bets on is the fuel pumps.
Okay, well, we'll let you and your guys loose on it and see if we can get it fired up.
No worries.
So Tom and Dan put a fresh battery in, checked for fuel pressure, nothing. They've then changed the relevant fuse and there's voltage, but again, no fuel pressure. So that means it's definitely one or both of the fuel pumps.
Go for it.
Yep. Whoa, that is
Sounds
smooth.
all right. Yeah.
I've got an engine warning light, but
That's probably because I've got this
normal.
pipe disconnected here, so got a bit of an air leak. There we go. We'll let it warm up and then we can take it in the workshop then.
I've been told these V8s are pretty bulletproof. Touch all the wood. But this hasn't started properly in a couple of years. That sounds good to go. 4 grand supercharged Jag, awake. Before we did anything with the Jag, I wanted to dyno the car to be able to compare the numbers down the line once we are finished with it. But before then, we decided to swing it into the garage for a quick service. The DRIVETRIBE channel has been growing week on week thanks to you guys subscribing, and that has led to us getting some new sponsors on board too. And I seriously vibe with today's new sponsor, Established Titles, because they can literally turn you into a lord or a lady. Established Titles is a project based on the old Scottish custom of landowners being called lairds, or lords and ladies to you English folk out there. By purchasing their title pack, you will get 1 square foot of land with a unique plot number in a private estate in Edelston in Scotland, made official by a certificate and a crest. What's really cool is that they plant a tree for every title pack sold, which means it's a fun way to help boost the woodland and also increase the reforestation of the planet, something that we should really be thinking about if we're driving V8 supercharged cars. They do this working with charities One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future, and at the end of it, you can officially call yourself a lord or a lady on your credit card, a plane ticket, even your dating profile. Who doesn't dig a lord? The first 200 people to use our exclusive DRIVETRIBE link in the description below will get a plot of land right next to mine. So depending on how many of you want to become a lord or a lady, we could create a proper DRIVETRIBE kingdom up in Scotland. Actually, all this chat about Scotland has got me in the mood to play a wee tune. It's a great last minute gift, and Established Titles are currently running a massive Black Friday sale. But you can also use our discount code DRIVETRIBE to get an additional 10% off. Head over to establishedtitles.com/DRIVETRIBE or use the link in the description below. Get your gift and support the channel. So Tom, these are supposedly the Achilles heel of these XKs. What's happened to these fuel pumps?
So they're a twin pump setup. So is what I suspect happened was the first pump is the prime pump. So when you turn the ignition on, that primes the fuel pressure. Okay. And then the secondary pump will kick in when it cranks. So I suspect this pump had probably already gone, which is obviously how it drove off the boat, etc. Then this one here has basically failed secondly, which is why it wouldn't start. So this normally seizes, and as you've seen, it popped the fuse to the actual fuel pump itself. So we've obviously replaced the fuse, put 2 new fuel pumps in there, but I suspect it's just lack of use where they're sat there with a bit of moisture around them, they just seize up.
Okay, cool. And what are you going to be doing to the car to prepare it for the dyno? Because obviously it's been sitting, we don't want to just thrash it.
Yeah, exactly as you said. So we're going to basically give it a full check over, nut and bolt spanner check, make sure everything's tight, torque the wheels, tyre pressures are really important on the chassis dyno. We're then going to do some basic service and maintenance, so we're going to change the oil, check the air filters, and we're just going to put a fresh set of plugs in there, run it all up to temperature, make sure everything's all okay before we get it on the dyno.
Sweet, sounds good. So, now that the car is started, what are we going to be doing with this thing? Well, at some point we'll be giving it a proper bath to see what we're working with bodywork wise. The paint looks okay, but I imagine it could do with a good polish and we'll get it properly gleaming. Then we'll hop inside, sort out all the nasty interior bits, there's quite a lot of sun damage in there, and we'll just clip everything back into place. There's some really cool intricate Japanese bits in there, which we'll see whether we'll keep or replace for the original UK bits. Then there's the main bit of the project. Off the back of our M5 Touring series, we're going to manual swap this car. There was no such thing as a manual XK or XKR back in the day. A few people have converted them since then, but this will be a properly rare car when it has a stick and a third pedal. Also, just think of that recipe, a manual rear-wheel drive supercharged V8 Sport Coupe Jag. That's not too bad at all, is it? Then there's the big kicker though. Tom has informed me that the torque converter in these autos uses up so much power that by switching to a manual, you immediately release a decent chunk of power. Add in other upgrades like a smaller supercharger pulley and a standalone ECU to do some tuning, and this thing could be something pretty damn special. Then you can add in other upgrades like suspension upgrades, brake upgrades. This thing could turn into an absolute weapon. Before we tested the stock engine's power to know what we are working with, the Swallows guys went ahead and changed the engine oil, spark plugs and air filter to brush off some of the car's literal cobwebs. So, the Jag has been given a quick service. Let's see what it's pumping out. We're down here at PV Engineering, just to get a baseline figure for the Jag and just make sure we've got a healthy car. So Tom, you know these engines inside out. A 2002 car that's sat for quite a while. What will you expect from it?
So it should be 376 from factory.
Okay.
I'm going with the guess of 350, purely as we were talking about earlier. We don't know what the losses are through that transmission.
Okay.
Obviously, factory, this was done on an engine dyno rather than a chassis dyno, so we're working off a little bit of calculation there. So yeah, I'm going for the 350.
350 at the crank?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to be optimistic. I've had a pretty good run with dynos recently, so I'm going to say 370. I'm going to go for the full whack. What do you reckon? Is
We'll find out.
Is that a fairy tale?
I think it's optimistic personally, but we'll see.
Okay, let's have a go.
Turn it off a minute.
So during the calibration run of the Jag, it's got a bit smoky, as you can hopefully see. Tom, what are we looking at here?
Well, that side is a bit of plastic connector that's obviously broken away at some point.
Okay, it does smell a bit plastic melty.
Exactly, it's touched on the manifold. And this side, I think there's just a bit of oil residue that's dripping down onto the manifold. The manifold's so tight to where the cam cover is. It's, like I say, it's obviously not been run for a few years, so it's all burning away.
We did joke, literally, just as we put this on the dyno, that we don't want a fire. We've got an extinguisher just down there. We might need it.
We'll soon find out, won't we?
Right, power run, let's go. Tom, I can't. I'm just staring at this f***ing fire going on. Tom, we had to start somewhere. 288 horsepower at the crank, so we're down about 1890 horsepower.
It was a little more than I expected.
Yeah. What do you think's happened there?
Well, we've got quite a few issues, haven't we? So we've got lots of smoke. But no, on all serious note, we've had a look over the logs and stuff.
Yeah.
It's down on boost and it is really rich, which would be probably why we're so down on power. And I still think that this gearbox that's more losses than we normally expect. So I think we've got a bit of an issue with the box as well. So yeah, we can only go up from here.
Well, I guess the whole thing with this specific project car is it's going to be pretty much all mechanical.
That's it,
because there's no fabrication needed.
Yeah.
So I guess this is not a blessing in disguise, but it's not a bad place to be because we're just going to get stuck in with that engine now.
Yeah, so we've got to strip it all down anyway. So all the smoke's coming from oil leak from the cam covers, so it's all rectifiable. So yeah, we've got a good base to start with, and we can carry out some modifications and hopefully not cause so much fire next time.
What a perfect example of Jaguar ownership. Can we please just, this chimney coming out the car right now. I mean, the temperature gauge has stayed solid. The car's on fire, but it stayed absolutely solid the whole time.
What more do you want?
Well, yeah, work to do, I think.
Yeah.
So, some wins and some very big losses today, but nonetheless incredibly enjoyable to film. In the next episode, we'll be cracking on with the manual swap of this car, which will make such a difference, and we'll also give it a proper clean to see what we're dealing with bodywork-wise. There will need to be a lot of work put into this car to get it anywhere near Richard's XJR, but give me and the guys at Swallows another couple of episodes, and I reckon we'll be well on the way. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I've been Mike, and don't forget to subscribe to DRIVETRIBE.